Hey everyone, welcome back to Rob's Car World. Today we're going to talk about this beautiful 1976 Cadillac Coupe de Ville. I call it your Uncle Lou's Coupe de Ville, and I'll tell you why in a little while. Let's go check this car out. This car is in Austin, Texas. Great place to live and a great place to find cars. It's got 128,000 miles, and we'll get into the miles in a little while. It looks to be very nicely presented. I've seen this car before on Craigslist because I have no life. The only thing I do is look at cars on the internet, and I've seen this car before. So it's a relisting on the automobile. I think the price of the car stayed the same, though. $14,995 is top of the line on the money side, too. And again, we'll address the money in a little while. This is the last generation of the fourth generation of the Cadillac Coupe de Ville. This is the largest of the largest. And if you look at Wikipedia and we go back, the fourth generation ran from 1971 to 1976. It was designed by Bill Mitchell, the famous General Motors designer. The first year in 71, of course, without the big bumpers. Definitely it was more handsome with the round headlights and all. But the final run, 1976, was also a very refined car and gave you some extra things like they had this new ABS program, computer set up for the rear axle that would hit the brakes every now and then when you'd stop, because it's a big car to stop. So you want to make sure you have good tires on this car all the time. Limited slip differential was also available. This car has the 500 cubic inch engine, replacing the 472 cubic inch engine they had before. And I believe the 500 was about 210 horsepower. So there's enough power back then to get you out of the way. But again, these engines were choked down a lot with emissions back in 76. So a nice car, though. Interesting to note that in 1973, I think 73, they had a cannonball run. And the Coupe de Ville actually came in, I think, third place with an average speed of almost 90 miles an hour while moving. And so that's a very famous Cadillac Coupe de Ville of the fourth generation to read about one day. So, but this Cadillac is really nice. It looks to be in nice condition. I call it my Uncle Lou's Coupe de Ville because my Uncle Lou actually had one. He lived in Elmont, Long Island. He drove from Elmont, Long Island to Greenwich, Connecticut every day, and he would only own a Cadillac Coupe de Ville. And when he had to retire his 76 and go to the new generation, he never, ever liked it. And so I think of him when I find these cars. Overall, if we look at the photos, let's see if we can tear it apart a little bit. But overall, the photos look nice. I don't see any mismatching with any panels. The paint might be original, but I would think with its age, it's probably a repaint. But if it was done very well. Look how nice the side of the car looks. I'm hoping there's no body fill or anything like that. All the chrome work on the front bumper looks beautiful. So the car looks to be like a very nicely presented Texas car where, Texas car with 128,000 miles. I've probably bought 5 or 6 cars in Texas in my times. And, you can find a 100,000-mile car in Texas with its original brake hardware, including its front brakes, because Texas driving is a lot different than Philadelphia, New York, and California. You're making right turns, left turns, you're getting on the highway. The highways are all concrete. You're doing 70 miles an hour, 75 all day long. So it's a very easy life for a car in Texas, with the exception to the sun. So if this car has been garaged all its time, I would expect this car to be, and it looks to be because the interior doesn't show any type of sun damage and things like that. But the car sits very well. I mean, the car looks to be very even and very well put together, original in its own right. These are 2.5 mile an hour bumpers in the back. These little fill panels here would crack and deteriorate in time. A lot of people put these fiberglass fills in and repainted. So that's the only reason I think this car might have been repainted, because these fiberglass fills, if this is not original, which I'm not thinking they would be, then they match very well. So it's possible this car was repainted in its lifetime. There are no undercarriage photos of this car. There's no engine bay photo of the car. So those are the two things I would ask to see before I would take a trip to go look at this one. But overall, looks very nice. The interior looks good. There is one photo of the roof that shows, I'll get to the roof real quick while I'm on it. that shows a little bit of pulling here on the top of the roof. Now, that could be weather related rather than rust. So if that pulling here could be repaired somehow, maybe by taking the quarter window out and see if you can stretch it back into shape. But if it is rust up there, then my opinion on this car changes 100%. But I'm thinking that's just either a little bit heat related or just dryness overall from the age of the car. But that's about the only thing I can find. Everything else looks very nice on this padded vinyl roof as well. The trunk deck looks very original. The interior of the trunk, there's the dashboard. He could have easily posted this car with 28,000 miles because it's a 5-digit odometer, but he didn't. He posted it as a real car with 128,000 miles. So that's nice for the seller to take that position on the car. The interior looks really nice. The seats don't look excessively worn at all. He put this homemade center console in there with a upgraded stereo radio, with display and all. That's cool. People do that. Something that you probably want to leave in as well. The rear sail panel here on the fill is pulling on the window. That was very common back then. It's not hard to replace or repair. It just takes a little bit of time to get in there and just pull that panel out. It's a fire mist color. The fire mist color was an optional that year too, so there's a couple things on this car that were optional, and there's the original trunk. He's got pinstripes on the car, which was a thing back then, in the 70s. You might be able to take those pinstripes off depending on how long ago they were applied. So I'm thinking they're painted, so that might take a little time to get off the car. But overall, a very nice car. Again, look at how nice the seat is. The driver's seat looks very nice. I'm hoping the dashboard is not cracked. There's a dash pad on the car, so it's hard for us to know if the dashboard is cracked at all. I don't see any overspray here except for this little smudge here in the corner, in the very lower bottom of this photograph that won't show here. But the car looks to be either painted very well or original in its presentation. So, again, a really nice car. So something I would definitely look at. Again, get an engine photo, get an undercarriage photo before you go see the car. Ask the questions, and you never know what kind of deal you can make on this car. From a price perspective, I would have people on this channel and people on our Facebook page tell me, hey, Rob, I can find these cars all day long for $7,000. Okay, if you can find it for $7,000, buy it and sell it for $10,000 and make some money. A $7,000 car of this nature will probably be found in the Rust Belt areas. They won't be as original as this car appears to be. And, if you have to restore that $7,000 car, you can easily get to $12,000 very quickly. So I see this car to be worth in that $12,000 range if it's as nice as its photos, rather than buying a car for $7,000 and having to restore the car to get it to look as nice as this. So in the days of labor being so expensive and paint work to be so costly, to repaint a car like this, you're easily going over $10,000, $12,000. So try to find something original. Try to find something as nice as a garage car as this appears to look to be. And you'd be much better off than finding a car for $7,000, $8,000. Unless you can find a $7,000, $8,000 car, but I can't. So if you can, post it to the thread on the YouTube channel and I'll look it over for you. But again, a nice car in Austin, Texas, great place to buy cars. And I'm going to leave the link up for the car so you can follow it. Thanks very much for joining us here on Rob's Car World today. If you like this channel, please subscribe. Please share with friends that love cars. And we'll see you here. Thanks very much. And there's the link to follow.